Hey, my name is HAAi, I'm at Amoeba and this is what's in my bag. My first record that I have chosen is Broadcast. I used to play in like shoegaze and psych bands when I was younger, living in Sydney, and this band was just like such an important band for me and for my bandmates, and they played in Australia a few times, and yeah, I just really loved them. The black cat, curiouser and curiouser. I love Warp as a label, obviously, such an important label, but this album was really a really important one for me. It's not even like a particular song that I would say is like my favourite. I just feel like, yeah, just as a whole like body of work, it's like really, really special. And I think it's like a really important piece of musical history, in my opinion anyway. The second record that I have chosen is by a very dear friend of mine, Jon Hopkins. This is his most recent album, and it is like, it's a real trip actually. It's called Music for Psychedelic Therapy. It's really interesting. There's like 0 time signature on the whole record. It's a real like, I mean, it is kind of what it says on the tin, to be honest. It's I was lucky enough to kind of be. He lives really close to me, and we've like made a bit of music together, and so we spent a bit of time in the studio, and I got to listen to it in sort of like different incarnations, which was a real like privilege, I'd say. Like there's this track. I actually thought that this track, the album finished with this track, but according to the track listing, that's not the case. But it's called Sit Around the Fire, and it's got like a Ram Dass sample on it, and it's just like one of the most soothing pieces of music that I've ever heard, I think. It was really, I had like quite an emotional experience listening to it with him for the first time.
Everything in you that you don't need, you can let go of.
Yeah, just in terms of like the whole entire album, like every track kind of like flows into the next. There's no, like I said, no time signature. There's so much like field recordings. This particular one called Teos Caves was literally made from field recordings in Ecuador. I remember having this like quite funny experience with Jon when we were first listening to it, where I just thought that I could hear like all these, I think it's just like some of the, maybe it's the sound of like some of the the like water in the caves or something. It just sounded like there was all these like termites, kind of like, we have this kind of ongoing joke about termites. Yeah, this is a really like, anyone who wants to put aside the time just to sit down and like put some headphones or some good speakers on and close your eyes, and just, it's a real experience. I think very special piece of music. My next record is Twigs. It's like turning it up a notch.
Everybody knows that I want your love. Everybody knows that I want your love. Everybody knows that I want your love. Want your love. Want your...
I'm a huge Twigs fan. I've been to see her play like several times. I think she's like such an important artist for like our time in terms of just being like multidisciplinary, how like avant-garde her shows are, how avant-garde her music is, but still has like pop sensibility to it. I just think like the production on the albums, or the production on the music that she's made, like I'm always just like so impressed and inspired by. This album I haven't heard yet because I think it's quite new. But just in terms of the stuff that I know of hers, I think like it's so cool to live in a time with like music that's being made like this, that is really avant-garde, but is like so popular as well. Like so many people love it. You know, she's such a huge artist, and yeah, I just think like, yeah, lucky us basically. My next record is just an absolute classic, I guess. It's Can. Again, it's just like a bit of nostalgia for me with like old band days, I guess. Also, I just thought it was really interesting because I'm released my music on a label called Mute, And they have, oh look, there you go, it says Mute. I believe they've just like licensed the entire catalogue, like back catalogue of Can, which is like absolutely bonkers. I've seen like a bunch of the records just in the Mute offices as well, and I'm like, but yeah, I mean, this is obviously just like a very classic historical album, so I felt like it was quite important to put in the stack. Spiritualized. One of my favourite bands of all time, honestly, and this particular album I chose because there's so many that you can choose from, but this one, I got to see them perform, I wish I could remember the name of this festival, but it's like a British touring festival that went to Australia, and they played on this place called Cockatoo Island, and Ladies and Gentlemen, We're Floating in Space was the album that they played, and it was like, it just blew me away. And like, I'm such a huge fan of like Jason Pierce as an artist and the collaborations that he's done, and yeah, and I think when I got to see them, he jumped on stage with was it Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, or I think it might have even been like Grinder Man, which is essentially the same members, but the music's grittier, if it's even possible. Yeah, it was quite wild to see, but yeah, this is I'll always remember like the first time I heard this record and just how it's just like means so much to me, because it's just it's just such a beautifully gentle record. I think for all of the music that they've made previously, it was a real it's a really magic album, this one.
Your whole face lit up when you were talking about it.
Oh, yeah. No, just so you know, like I was just like looking at some of the track titles and I was like, God, that really I remember the first time hearing some of the songs and just being like, whoa, I can't believe they're making music like this. And this is, I think, such like one of the most special albums that's been made in a long time. Oliver from the XX. I'll be just fine. I'm missing you. I'm very, very close with Romy, and yeah, I've been lucky enough to hear some of the tracks from the album, but he, like before it came out, and it's just like so beautiful. And so honest, and so like the whole story behind what he's done, and he's like made a film, and I just think like it's so nice to see, obviously like the XX as a band have, created something like so special and so memorable, and even the music that they, that I'm sure that they'll continue to make, but it's so nice to see them kind of go off and do their own thing, and everyone's like doing something like quite different, and I just think what Oliver's doing is like so honest and like experimental, and yeah, it's like he's kind of creating like this whole world that's, I think, is like really expressive, and I just think it's so cool, So yeah, great record. My final one is, okay, so I'm not like much of a reader because I don't really have a great attention span for it. I'm better at making stuff, I think. But I've like been a huge fan, obviously, of the Riot Grrrl movement since I was a guitar-slinging teenager. I came to Miami in May, and I was playing in this venue, and I was there by myself, and I was like, it was my first time in the States, and I was like a little bit nervous and wasn't really sure what to expect from like where I was and where I was playing, and I went out with the promoter, and he was like, Bikini Kill are playing in the same venue tonight, and I was like, whoa, no way. He took me to see, and I like love Kathleen Hanna, and it was just, yeah, and so my friend, this is sort of like going around in circles, but my friend, the Blessed Madonna that I'm touring with at the moment, I just knew that she like loved them as well, so I like got her and I like matching shirts, and we were playing in like Movement in Detroit, and she like ran up onto stage and like threw her this like Bikini Kill shirt. She's like put it on straight away. So I kind of got this book for her actually. I hope she hasn't read it yet. Anyway, that's my final one.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.